your update, your comments.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this early on, and I caught the tail end of your show with Mayor Dave coming in, and we knew early on, even when Representative Soliday approached me about the compromise that is HB 1264, we knew that Mayor Uran, Mayor Soderquist, Mayor Snedeker is going to be a tough sell. The further away you get from the Little Cow River you go, the tougher the sell is, because I know Dave's a smart guy, and Dave understands that water does end up eventually in, well, either Burns Ditch and I recognize it goes two ways, but the fact is we're all part of the watershed. Nobody made these maps up. It was done by engineers that measured elevation. So, but the problem is when you go down to Winfield and you try to explain to somebody from Winfield or somebody from Dyer that they need to pay into the Little Cow, that's the problem. That's the problem here, and it's not the mayor's. I understand what the mayor's doing. If I was the mayor of Crown Point, I'd probably be doing the same thing Dave's doing. But the thing is, we have to come up with a funding mechanism, and this is a legitimate problem in the Senate right now. And there's a couple political issues that are threatening 1264 right now. One of them is a race for state senator. It's really complicating this bill, believe it or not. So.
All right. So if we could just simplify it, Mayor Uran, welcome to the mayor's portion here, actually. So. The mayor has this tiered system here.
No, you're talking about Dave. You say the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
No.
There are more mayors than.
No.
Yeah, there's a tiered system.
Right.
But 25, 35, 45.
It makes total sense. I mean that, and I'm not. But the thing is, you have to understand that that's not what was approved by the House. So if we change now, it's got to go through reconciliation between the House and the Senate. So I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad idea. 3 tiers, I have no problem with. Okay, but the problem is the version that passed the House was 2-tiered. So this is a change, which means if this passes the Senate, then you got conflicting bills that pass the House and the Senate, and they got to reconcile and pass both houses again. So I'm not saying this is a bad idea. 3 tiers is not a bad idea. It's something I'm not opposed to, but it's different than what passed the House already. That's the problem.
Yeah, there's going to be some challenges there, but I think that. The main thing is we need to send a message that we're united up here in Northwest Indiana, which I think the rest of the state then would say, this is your dollars, you're collecting it from your own constituents up there. If you guys are all collectively on the same page, this should be able to mirror each other once we understand what the whole program is.
And Dave and I both understand. I mean, the mayors have a really great relationship in Northwest Indiana. I'm not just saying Lake County. I mean, going over into Porter County with with Mayor Costas and Mayor Snyder, we have great relationships, even out in the LaPorte County. However, one of the things that will be in contention on this is what happens with the RDA money. And the RDA money, and I heard Mayor Dave, as I was pulling up, that $6 million does elevate the annual cost that everybody has to pay. If that $6 million repayment wasn't in there, what would the payments drop to? Would it drop to $30? Would it drop to $35? Does that make a big difference? Because I know with some people it does. Okay, so these are all issues, but I want to make clear that what's passed the House already by 8410 was the version that Soliday's running with. Any changes to that, is going to complicate things.
Okay, let's bring this up then. I know that everyone's trying to show a united front, but we got to understand where we're at. Speaking of Soliday, you and Ed Soliday out of Porter County have been, we've talked about it before, you guys got together and came up with some sort of compromise plan here. How come Mayor Uran wasn't in on this?
Well, what's funny is I just sort of assumed he was. I mean, first off, Ed approached me. Last year, when this was going down, I wasn't on the same team as Ed. Everybody knows that. I was in the State House trying to kill it, right?
It played out here on the air. You guys had very kind of terse words for each other.
And at the time...
Spirited, right?
Oh, my gosh. It was... And the thing is, for me, I thought that was it. Ed Soliday and I would never talk again. And he approached me over the summer and said, hey, can we get together and talk about this? And I thought that was really big of him, I'll be honest with you, because he doesn't have to do that. They have a 60-40 edge. They don't need Mayor McDermott or Democrats. And, so he pulls me in and asked me what my main challenges to the bill 1474 was last year. And I told him it was the governor appointing the members and us getting taxed locally. That was my main objection. It's not fair. If we're going to be taxed locally, we should have local people that are picked by local people. And he completely changed it. And in my opinion, that, in my opinion, showed Ed was willing to compromise and work with local leaders. And not only that, the problem, I understand that we need operation and maintenance funding for the Little Cow. I understand that. It's not, whether or not we need operation and maintenance funding. It's, in my opinion, it was the composition of the board.
So you thought that he was involved from the beginnings?
I did, but and at the same time, no offense to Dave, and I understand he's sitting right here. I understand that Dave's probably going to be against it one way or the other. I understand that because it's going to be hard for the mayor of Crown Point to come out in favor of something like this. So I understood the political landscape going in, and I was very clear with Ed that this is not going to be popular with Mayor Brian in Hobart, with Mayor Keith in Lake Station, with Mayor Dave down south. It's not going to be popular, and in fact, you, Ed, have to anticipate guys like Dave are going to be up against it because that's his job. If I was a mayor of Crown Point, I'd be doing the same thing Dave Uran's doing right now. You understand? I mean, so there's some things in government that are not going to make people happy, but you have to do it nonetheless. And in my opinion, this is one of them. Nobody's going to be happy with this outside of the people immediately around the river. But I think Mayor Uran's doing his job just like Mayor Snedeker and Mayor Soderquist, and it's up to Ed to work with these guys. And by the way, I don't have a vote on this. I'm just the mayor of Hammond and the Lake County chairman, which complicates it because Dave and I are on the same team when it comes to politics. But
Mayor Uran, some of the folks that call into this radio station have said, well, why is Crown Point and Lake Station, Hobart, Maryville, why are they coming up now? Do you think that some of this could have been avoided if you guys were brought in the beginning?
Well, I mean, just to echo what Tom says, there was a bill last year that was on play that we actually had a seat at the table, and that's where this disconnect came in because it was only $25 last year. When it went to 45, this is when I guess the sticker shock came out.
Yeah.
And that's when we said, okay, why did this jump up from 25 to 45, and where's all this money going into? And this is after the bill was passed. This is where we got to say, wait a minute, time out here. Let's slow down things a little bit. I understand that one of the horse left the barn already, but there's still one that's still in there. And at the end of the day, you can still bring that other horse back in and ride out together. And Tom, I think you heard it early on, and you've been in these meetings. At the end of the day, we're all united in the fact that there needs to be some type of maintenance fee in place. We understand.
And I believe them
and,
on that.
And we don't want to stop this bill.
They don't want to kill the bill. They want to work with the bill.
And I think there are people out there that are trying to say that that's what we're trying to do in Northwest Indiana, and they really can't believe that we're actually communicating, talking, and agreeing on things, because that's where the rubber meets the road, and this is where people think you can't come back and fix the other bill. And I think that's important to let people know that's not the case.
All right, well, let's cut to the chase here, okay?
Let me interject real quick. You have to also understand that I have a history with this because not only 1474, but I was on board with Conservancy District push with George Van Til, and I saw the resistance. And I'm not just blaming one community. The further away from the river you went, the more and more resistance you ran into, even though you were still located within the floodplain. So I knew going in that when Ed proposed 1264 to me, I knew that the further away from the Little Cow River you get, the harder and harder this sell is.